depending on the question, we will be able to basically, I'll be able to hand off questions if you have them specific about social work, specific about criminal justice or psychology. And we'd love to be able to kind of highlight those 3 programs throughout the rest of the night. And so if you have any questions about the classes or maybe their favorite classes to teach, or what the community is like in the program, or different internship opportunities, we'd love for you to send those questions in. I know APU is huge on internships, and that's like a big topic for incoming students. So if you guys have those questions, that's what this event is for. We would love to hear from you. So go ahead and utilize that Q&A box. And for our first question, I'll go ahead and get us started, but I would love for each of you to answer. We can do the same order. What is your favorite class that you teach or maybe have taught at APU?
Sure. So my favorite one is actually our internship class, I will say. So we call our internship class Field Experience, and that's an opportunity. You kind of take it towards your senior year. It's a semester long, and you do 100 hours of field work out in the field of psychology. And as mentioned, psychology is extremely broad, so you might be interested in various fields. I'm a psychology alum as well, so when I took this class as a student, I thought for sure I wanted to work with children. So I did my internship experience in a daycare setting and found out I definitely don't want to work with children. So it was a really great opportunity to have a hands-on experience while I was in school to, have that opportunity to learn and figure out, is this something for me? And I found out I didn't want to do that. So now when I teach that class to my students, it's an awesome opportunity for me to talk through that with them and figure out what they like and what they don't like, and what parts of the items they like or what parts they don't like, and give them some more mentorship about finding the correct career that they might want to go into, and then steering them towards the grad school path or a further internship or shadowing somebody else. So it's a really exciting opportunity for us to connect and have a mentorship opportunity.
Awesome.
Picking one, huh? One class? Okay. So I don't know. I was trying to think when Melanie was sharing. I guess I would say maybe we have a class called Social Justice, Human Rights. And I think one of the very specific distinctives of social work is that we are really focused on social justice issues. I'm sure many of you guys, as you've been listening to the news or election debates or conversation, you're hearing this idea of how do we utilize the social work profession to solve some of these complex issues in our country. And I think students coming into that class have one idea of what, diversity and inclusion and social justice looks like. And I think they get to that other side of that class having a whole different perspective on that. And so I think it's just a fun class in terms of the critical thinking and exploring really complex issues, which I don't think people get to do a lot in their personal lives. And so I think that's a fun class to teach, and also because it has a practical nature. So I think the other distinctive of social work is that we just don't want to learn concepts and, have knowledge. We want to couple that with what do we do with that knowledge? How do we apply that in our communities? And so the class is intentionally called Social Justice, Human Rights, because we're looking at how do we create a just society and how do we promote human rights within our not only nationally, but also within our global atmosphere. So I maybe would say that's my favorite.
And so my favorite is forensic psychology. That is a course where you don't have to work too hard to get people's interests. And so my specialties in forensic psychology are predicting future violence and the detection of faking. And so what I liked about teaching that course is at the time I was having live cases that I was conducting for the courts, and I would bring some of those stories to class. And so the classroom became just a really live situation where what I was experiencing out in the community, I was bringing to the students, and we would talk about it, and I would learn and they would learn, and it was fantastic.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, so now you guys get a little sneak peek about the Q&A portion. So continue to send in those questions. We'd love to be able to answer those. And we're going to now have each of these amazing faculty share a little bit about their program. So maybe highlight a few things about their program, what makes it unique, maybe from the students, what they hear about, their favorite parts about the program, anything to that extent. So Professor Melanie, go ahead.
Great, yeah. So as mentioned, we're kind of a larger department with a few different programs under our umbrella. So we have the Bachelor of Arts degree and the Bachelor of Science degree in psychology as a major. The Bachelor of Arts degree is designed for students who want to go more of the clinical counseling, behavioral sciences type of route. The Bachelor of Science degree is those students who are looking to go into maybe a medical route after they graduate. So students will take more of the neuroscience classes as they prepare to go on to med school. It's kind of how we market it. So if you have a particular interest in the brain and using that towards a medical applied lens, we would recommend the BS degree. If you're wanting to do more of the behavioral counseling, therapists, working with children, social justice, criminal justice, anything like that, we might recommend the Bachelor of Arts degree. But with those degrees, you have, a variety of classes to choose from. So we've designed our major so that you take a select course option of core courses, the ones that everyone has to take. They're kind of your foundational psychology courses. And then from there, you move on to what we call career-oriented courses. And those will allow you to select from like 30 to 40 different psychology electives that align with what your interests are. So say, for example, you really want to work with children, we would recommend 6 electives in the Department of Psychology that have something to do with working with children. We also allow you to kind of mess around and play with that. So maybe you think you're interested in working with children and you take the child psychology course and you're like, oh, I don't really know if this is for me. Maybe I want to go more towards the counseling or therapy route. Then we might recommend the counseling psychology course. And either way, no matter which class you take, it's still getting you towards your degree completion. You're not wasting time. You're not just taking classes for fun. You're always working towards the end of your degree, but it's allowing you to kind of play around with some of your different interests. So that's really nice to have that flexibility. We also have about 32, I believe we're at now, faculty members, full-time faculty members in our department, which means you get a bunch of different specialties. We have forensic psychology specialties, we have counseling, we have child life, which is working with children in a hospital setting. We have social psychologists and diversity experts and all different ranges of how faculty use their psychology expertise. So we love to encourage our students to talk to a faculty member early on, whether it's through these event spaces or in our office hours or through advising, but just a way to get to know you more so we can help you figure out how you want to utilize this degree. But it is a 48 unit major now overall. So what that means is when you combine the general education requirements with the psychology requirements, you still have about 30 units of elective courses for you to take in whatever you want. So for some students, they might add on a minor. I see some students in here were maybe interested in that forensic psychology route and asking about minoring in criminal justice while being a psych major. Absolutely, there's a lot of room for flexibility there. Others of our students will utilize that time for study abroad opportunities. So we have a psychology-specific study abroad opportunity in South Africa. We also do some summer trips to Kenya and Spain, and we're adding on Thailand and hopefully a lot more in the future, but APU in general has over 30 different study abroad locations that you can go to. So we usually encourage our students to broaden their horizons and get out of the US, Lord willing that COVID allows for that in the future. But that would be one of my favorite ways that the psychology department has utilized those extra units that you have to play with. It's something I did as a student and really helped me understand what I wanted to do with my degree by engaging with other cultures, both in the US and outside of the US. So that was exciting. Some other key notes is that we have some opportunities to engage in psychology topics outside of the classroom. So we have a psych club that we meet and do puppy therapy around finals week, where we have little puppies that come on campus to de-stress. They put on Q&As about different career fields that you can go into. We've had a marathon that we ran together, different ways that we kind of use our common interest in psychology to make friends on campus. We also have a living learning community, which we started about 3 years ago, and that is where we have all of the incoming freshmen together in 2 classes in the fall and 1 class in the spring, so that you guys get to know some other psychology majors from day one setting foot on campus. So we have you guys live in the dorms together, and we do fun activities like Friendsgiving every November. This year we're mailing our students some goodies for Thanksgiving because we can't be together, so it's a great way to foster community, again, with that common interest of psychology. And we also have an honor society in psychology. So based off of GPA, you get a special recognition at graduation and on your resume that says that you were an excelling student in the degree of psychology. This past year, we had those students achieve a 3.8 GPA overall, which is incredible. So we're really excited about that. But like I said, overall, the psychology major offers a lot of flexibility with what you're interested in. So key piece of advice that I can give you is if you're at all interested, we have 26 units of classes that overlap with the GE requirements. So you can take a psychology class that fulfills your GE requirement just to see if you like it. So you might want to take human growth and development, figure out if that's something you want to do, and then take more psychology courses from there. And either way, they're satisfying a requirement for you to graduate, and you can even graduate early if you double dip enough classes. So I think that's a big, broad overview, and I'll let everyone else talk and take questions in a little bit. Thanks.
Great. So I'll share a little bit about social work. So I mentioned that I was an undergrad social work major here at APU, and I knew kind of as I was exploring where I wanted to go in terms of college and what I wanted the experience to look like, that I knew I wanted to help people as part of my profession. And just what I knew of helping people always landed in the medical field or teaching. And so I thought that I'd go the medical route because I thought that's how you help people. And then through a course of conversations, discovered social work and found that, oh, this is much more than child welfare or even just working with kids. And so that sort of sparked my interest, and sort of what Melanie was sharing, started taking some of those intro classes within the major just to see, is this truly a fit for me and something that I want to do? And it really did open, my eyes up to all the different things that social workers do and where they can work. And so with the degree, essentially you're going to get a BSW degree, so a bachelor's in social work degree. And what I really liked about the major, it was very practical. It's a practice degree, meaning that when you graduate with a BSW degree, you can go directly to work in the field. You don't need a graduate degree. You don't need any other licensure in the state of California. And so I really liked that because I knew that post my undergrad, I wanted to work a little bit before I decided on my graduate degree, even if I wanted to pursue a graduate degree. And so the BSW level training really mirrors that practice approach. And so at APU, we have required service learning hours across the university. So every undergrad in the social work major, tied to every single one of our courses, is a service learning experience. And so you'll essentially earn those required service learning hours through our courses. And so it's a really nice way for students not just to sit and hear a lecture or sit and read, but actually get to explore the content in an applied way. And so some of those examples look like when you take a groups practice class and how to facilitate groups. We partner with local middle schools and you co-facilitate with a peer how to sort of run a group, how to facilitate conversation, how to terminate, how to transition, all the different skill-based requirements that we'd want our students to know. And so that service learning is, again, an embedded part in most of our classes, and a really great way for students to really gain competence in those areas. And then kind of the culminating experience of applied learning is an internship. So a social work degree requires 400 hours of field internship. And so it's very intensive. It's across 2 semesters your senior year. We place our students. So we actually interview and, retain different internship sites for our students. Those internship sites are really all across all the different fields where social workers work. So that could be child welfare, that could be schools, that could be hospitals, that could be the DA's office. Those are all current placements of students that I'm working with in their seminar sections. And so that's a great kind of last step in training before graduation. We also offer really, applied research experiences. So all of our students have the opportunity to take a question from their field internship and formulate alongside a faculty member a research question that they'll explore across the year of their field internship. And we have actually what we call an advanced research section where students can, alongside a faculty member, work towards publication of their research project. So that's something very unique at the undergrad level that we offer our social work students. And something else that's really, I think, valuable with the BSW degree here at APU is we're an accredited program, which essentially means that if you earn a BSW degree and then decide that you want to pursue a graduate degree in social work, you can earn what's called an advanced standing MSW degree, meaning that it would just be 1 year of graduate training and you would have a master's degree. And those are only offered to students that graduate from a BSW, an accredited BSW program. So, and similar to what Melanie shared, we offer, specific, study away opportunities where you're applying social work skills. So also go to South Africa, work alongside hospice and school-based settings to then apply, again, that social work, applied experience that we want to give our students. So it's a tremendous major, lots of opportunity, and really, really love our students. So I thought maybe Anna, if you want to share a little bit about the student experience and some of the classes that you've been taking.
So I think as a sophomore, I obviously have not taken a ton of social work classes, but what I really love is because I really looked extensively into a lot of other social work programs. And there are a lot of programs you'll start your junior year of the program. And so I really, really loved that literally first day of my freshman year, I was already in Intro to Social Work and a first year seminar course that was also linked to social work. So I really got to dive in really quickly. And I think for some of my peers, it was beneficial in seeing what they didn't like. Okay, maybe I don't like this, and finding that out early on. And for me, it was oh my gosh, I love this. But yeah, I really, really love kind of what Professor Twadi was talking about the applied aspect and how you're learning these things in your classes and then you're taking them and you're applying them to these actual scenarios. So I'm in one of the classes I'm in right now is called Human Behavior in the Social Environment. So we learn a lot about child development and kind of the way that people interact with, with their families and their communities and with the world. And as part of that, we have a couple months long mentorship program with a middle school student. And so I'm learning these things in my class, and then I'm taking them and directly applying them when I'm mentoring the student. And so that experience has just been really cool for me.
Very nice. So I'll talk a little bit about the criminal justice program. So the criminal justice program is interdisciplinary in nature. So if psychology sounds pretty cool and what you hear from social work sounds good, we come at criminal justice from all of those perspectives. So we look at crime and society's response to crime from multiple angles. We'll look at it from the political side, the legal side, the psychological, the sociological, and our classroom experience is very alive. And one of the ways we prepare for class is through the newspaper. So we'll take the newspaper and say, okay, we had a shooting in this state, let's talk about it. And so you are getting real life, in the moment problems that we're facing as a society, and we critically evaluate it. We don't come and just throw out opinions and get grumpy with each other. We look at the research, and we look at the theory, and we look at all of these aspects to try and come up with some problems. So the kinds of questions that we look at, for example, are like, why do we even have crime? How did this happen? How did crime happen? Should we incarcerate everyone who commits a crime? If not, who do we incarcerate? And then police have been a big topic of conversation this year. And so for this year, what is the proper role for policing? Should we defund the police or increase the funding? And the kinds of students that we have in the criminal justice program, you get one group who may have come from families of law enforcement and they want to be peace officers. And then you'll get another group who may have had bad experiences with the criminal justice system. And so we engage in really intense and productive conversations in the classroom. We try and normalize these kinds of discussions instead of avoiding them. So it's really vibrant. The major is 51 units. With some of the courses in the major, some examples. We look at the juvenile justice system. That's a course. Theories of crime, race, ethnicity, and crime, police and society. And then we have 15 units of electives, and that's where forensic psychology is, and terrorism and counterterrorism. So we have a really broad curriculum, and lots for students to explore. The end.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone, for presenting a little bit about your program, some of the classes. I definitely was someone who would be on the AP website clicking the class descriptions, and that was a really good way for me to kind of figure out, okay, what am I interested in? What makes me excited to learn about? And so I encourage you guys to go on the website too and just continue to look more into these classes that our amazing faculty are talking about. Okay, so now we're going to head into our Q&A portion. So it's not too late to submit questions. Please keep submitting questions. It looks like you guys have already done so. So thank you so much. If you haven't, please submit some as we continue on. And so I'm going to start with the first one. We have a question for you, Professor Tawadi, about if we have a graduate program for the social work major at APU.
Yes, so we actually do have a graduate program. So it's a master's in social work, an MSW. And it currently has 2 specializations. So one is a clinical specialization. So that would be for students really interested in being clinicians or therapists. And then the other concentration is what we call macro practice. So it's specializations around policy and administration and community organizing and community development. So those are our 2 specializations in the MSW program. We do offer the advanced standing option, which I was talking about previously, which is that 1-year option for students who have received a BSW degree or undergrad social work degree. And at APU, we offer a unique model of an advanced standing degree that actually, instead of it being 1 year, it's actually broken into 2 years, which you can be like, well, why would I go 2 years if I could do 1? Well, the option is for working students. So all the classes are in the evening, and they're scattered around 2 years instead of 1. So it's less intensive coursework in terms of time commitment. And so that's a very unique model, not offered many places. And we actually just moved to a regional campus, so offer an MSW both at the Azusa campus and in the Inland Empire campus. So yes, we have a wonderful MSW program.
Yay, thank you so much. Okay, next question we have here. I believe this is for you, Dr. Welsh. Did you minor in criminal justice to become a forensic psychologist? So you can go ahead and touch on your experience there.
Yeah, so I did not. I had no idea what I was going to do, so I just took a bunch of courses, courses that I found interesting, and which I think is not a bad strategy, because this is a time to get a really good solid foundation. And even when I got into my doctoral program in psychology, I didn't really start taking forensic psychology as an interest until my 5th year in my doctoral program. And so I was a bit of a late bloomer. So I did I thought I wanted to be a therapist, which as it turns out, I still do a little therapy, but I can't do one-on-one therapy. I have to have like really intense clients, right? Like criminals or the incarcerated or couples, right? They're very intense, and that just to keep me, I have a high need for stimulation. So there you have it.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And then let's see, next question we have. Okay, this is a good one, very applicable. What is the highest math class needed for each of these majors? So we have someone just wanting to get to the point with, hey, what math do I need to do?
So for the psychology major, the highest math class we require is Introduction to Statistics. So that one will be the prerequisite math class for you to take data analysis, which some might consider a math class, but data analysis is more applied data. So knowing how to read stats and figure out what to do with all those numbers. So you need the Introduction to Stats to be able to move on to the data analysis course in our major.
So as I was exploring my major, this was one of the questions I was asking. And I remember looking through the course catalog and looking through social work and seeing that Intro to Statistics was the highest math that we require as well, and feeling like the Lord had spoken directly to me about this being my major. So yes, that is the highest level of math that we require as well.
And that is the same for criminal justice.
And I will say, as someone who has gone through Intro to Statistics, you will make it, you'll get through. It's really, honestly, it's great. And your professors are there to help, so. Okay, awesome. And then let's see here. Ooh, this is a good question. What is needed for a student to excel in each of these programs? So Professor Melanie, you can go ahead and start.
Yeah, that's a great question. And the fact that you're asking that question, I think is like key enough for having good success in college, is being willing to ask questions and having really strong communication skills. I don't think, the best service we can do for ourselves as students, students of life really, is be willing to engage in conversation and ask the questions about what we're interested in. So ask your professors, connect with them one-on-one, ask each other. And then the other thing I would say is organization. This seems all daunting right now before you're in college of, wow, there's so many options of majors and there's so many different classes I can take. So have an opportunity for you to sit down and kind of plan things out. We have incredible academic advisors who will help you come up with a 4-year plan. And part of the skill with that is having organization skills that will keep you on track towards graduation and knowing which classes you can take that will allow you to explore and also learn something while you're doing it. So that's my advice.
I think that's great advice. And I would, a couple things maybe just to add to that is, I think for social workers, thinking critically is really important, and being able to evaluate information, not just that you'll read, but that you'll hear, right, from your prospective clients, from your peers, from those around you. And I think kind of connected to that is being willing and being at least wanting to explore, being comfortable with being uncomfortable, because I think a lot of the content is going to make you explore yourself, explore others, explore the world around you, think about it in different ways. A big part of our profession is really trying to navigate cultural humility and diversity, which are really challenging if you can't be open to other perspective. And so I would say those are probably the additions to what Melanie shared that I would say will be helpful to being successful.
Anna, do you mind if I call on you as a current example of a student that's excelling? What are you doing?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I think the biggest thing, especially in the social work program, is keeping your mind open. Because kind of like what Professor Twadi was talking about when it comes to like the social justice classes, kind of, I've had several classes where I go in with this idea of what this class is going to be and what it's going to teach me and, my opinion on these concepts. And then I come out being like, oh my gosh, like my entire worldview has been changed. And I feel like a lot of students have a couple of those experiences. So just being open to changing in college, because college is a big experience, big changing experience, and just being okay with that. And then also utilizing your academic advisor. I have gone to my academic advisor like 3 or 4 times each time with I don't know what I'm doing. I want to do something completely different. And she's like, all right, let's do it then. So like understanding that they are there to help you and they're there to, see, take what you want to do and then help you put that into action. So that has been a very important resource that I've utilized at my time at APU so far.
That's great. So I would maybe add that one of the most important things about college is learning how to learn. And if you master that, you can go anywhere and take any job. I mean, almost any job. You probably shouldn't, be doing surgery until you have the right classes. But you can learn how to learn and then apply it to all these other areas. And so, even now, after being in higher ed for 25 years, as a professor and administrator, I still am trying to refine that skill of trying to learn quickly so that I can pick up something and just really go. And so I think that if you orient yourself to being a lifelong learner, that is probably one of the most important things you can do to excel.
Wow, we have awesome faculty here at APU, don't we, guys? This is awesome. I want to go back to school now. Okay, here we go. Let's see here. Okay, so we have 2 specific psychology questions, so I'll kind of bunch them together. So we have one just about the program, kind of a general overview. Maybe you can talk to the 2 different options. And then the internship. So a student wanting to know, okay, what kind of internships are available? What's the process like? So that would be great to hear from you.
Yeah, so just kind of speaking to the overview of the program and like transfer friendliness. I know a lot of students ask about like, can I take, community college classes, or do I have to take all of my classes at APU, or, kind of what does the major look like as I start taking classes? So I will say APU is extremely transfer friendly. So if you're looking to take community college classes, by all means, we definitely want to encourage you to look into that option if that's what you're interested in. We have a lot of classes, as I mentioned, that double dip with GE and with psychology. So that's a really great opportunity for you to start looking at some of those classes. For example, a general psychology course. That's a perfect example to get you introduced to the topic of psychology. It also fulfills a GE course. We also have human growth and development. That's also kind of an overview introduction course to psychology that satisfies a GE. We also have a political psychology course, which satisfies the civic knowledge and engagement GE. So there's a few different options that you can be taking as you're starting to explore, like, what major do I really want to go into? that will satisfy multiple requirements while allowing you to explore. And then once you're into the major, kind of identifying what route you might want to go into. So a lot of students join any of our majors because they're like, oh, I really want to be a psychologist, or I really want to do couples therapy. Fabulous. Like, let's get you into some of those classes that will introduce you to what that type of job is like. One of our writing classes, Writing 2, is another one of those double dip classes, but it's also a career exploration class. So a lot of what we talk about in that class is, we have our website that goes over 300 different careers that you could go into with a psychology bachelor's degree. That's a lot. So in that class, we'll kind of dive into what are the different categories of those career fields, what might you need to be successful in those careers, and going from there. And that's where that internship really comes in handy, as well as allowing you that applied aspect. We've had students do so many different things. So 2 years ago, I had a student who was an intern for the LA Clippers, the basketball team. So you wouldn't think off the top of your head, maybe, like, what are they doing with psychology? But that's the beauty of psychology, is you're working with humans. And that's pretty much what you get to do when you study psychology, is human behavior, right? So she worked for the Clippers doing some of their event services. She got to be the person behind crowd engagement, which was huge to learning, what people like to see in crowd engagement. How can we tailor the events to make them more specific to what people are wanting? I've also had students do a internship in a hospital setting, doing kind of a child life observation setting where they shadowed a child life specialist, working through hospital settings with kids who are diagnosed with a terminal illness potentially, and kind of what that process looks like, talking with the families and with the children. We've also had students work in school settings, supervising the classes with children with special needs. So if they specifically want to go into school psychology, they might shadow the IEP process, which is coming up with a developmental education plan for students who need hands-on touch in the classroom. So those, we do allow the students to kind of utilize whatever their interests are and match an internship based off of those interests. So the sky's the limit. If you can think of something you want to do, we'll try and work with you to make it happen. A lot of what our students are doing, they're already doing in their everyday job. So we kind of look at, what are you doing naturally that we can then apply psychology to? So it's a lot of flexibility.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, this is another question we have for all of you, is how do each of your programs prepare students for post-grad? So whether that be, higher education, master's, doctorate, or, applying for jobs, and what does that look like?
So I think I can speak for at least psychology and social work, of having the opportunity to do advanced standing in a grad program or take graduate classes as early as your senior year. So a really unique thing that APU offers is I think 50 plus grad programs at APU. And we actually allow you to take 9 units of graduate classes in your senior year as an undergrad. So specifically in psychology, we have, I think 7 different psych grad degrees now. We have industrial organizational psychology, we have marriage and family therapy, we have clinical psychology, we have child life, we have research psychology, we have counseling psychology. I feel like I'm missing another one. We have a lot. So that allows you to, if you're interested in any of those, you can start taking graduate classes in your senior year as an undergrad in those grad programs. So not only are you starting to chip away at grad school, which shortens the amount of time that grad school will take you, you're also getting it at the undergraduate price and kind of getting to dip your toe in the water and figuring out, like, is this a grad degree that I want to pursue? So for example, I did the Master's of Research Psychology program, and I got to kind of dip my toe in some of those research psychology classes in senior year to discover what my interest was in research. So that's a really unique opportunity that APU offers, but also these programs offer. We also have a lot of hands-on mentorship. So these internship opportunities, the faculty, the advisement. If grad school is an option for you and that's what you want to pursue, we definitely recommend meeting with a faculty member or advisor early on in the process so we can start mentoring you through writing your grad school applications and looking into schools and practicing interview skills and things like that.
Yeah, I would add that we partner a lot with the Career Center at APU. So APU has a Career Center on campus and are now virtually on campus. So we do a lot of partnership with that office to kind of do some of the things Melanie was talking about, prepare resumes, prepare, interview preparation, those types of things that are like skill-based learning. But I would say the other piece that we do in social work is partner with external partnerships. So like national organizations and then regional organizations that host grad fairs for grad school or host even like employment opportunities. So constantly trying to connect our students. We think we train our students really well. And the entire purpose of that is we want you to go out into the field and practice with your degree. So that is definitely something that we pay a lot of attention to your junior and senior year in the program. And then the last piece is we have a social work alumni association, and that alumni network creates job opportunities from alumni to our students. We also use it to post jobs. We have a lot of field internships. I want to say at this point, like 300 or 400 between there of internship opportunities across our department. And so all of those people are potential employers. And so we connect with them. We use them as an advisory board to tell us, hey, what sort of training are students needing to be prepared to enter the field of social work. And so using them kind of as a point of engagement to know how do we sort of restructure our classes, how do we offer new classes. Actually, out of that came an opportunity for us to host an interpersonal violence or a DV course within our program that provides the certification to work in the state of California. Post-undergrad degree. So things like that spring up, and we really want to equip our students to be prepared professionals to enter the field post-graduation. So those are some additional things that we do.
So most of the programs have similar routes to getting a job or to going through graduate school. The only thing that I would add to that is that usually from the first class on, we try and get students to start refining their interests so that they can think about what's going to happen once they graduate, and whether or not they think that graduate school is part of the plan or whether they might go directly into a career. And if they're going to go directly into a career, we'll put them into an internship that could lead to hiring once the internship is over.
Awesome. Thank you all so much. Okay, we have one here from Evelyn. Thank you, Evelyn. She says, hope you're all doing well. How nice. And then, do you know if I can pursue a career of child life specialist with a psychology major?
Yes, absolutely. We actually have a child life specialist degree, graduate degree. So our students will major in psychology, perhaps take some of those graduate classes in the child life specialist program in their senior year. And then we do have a master's of science in child life that you can go into after you graduate. That program is a 2-year program, and we do have the advanced standing option. So if you are a really high achieving student in our undergraduate program, you have the opportunity to get an advanced standing option for the grad degree. So you can go all the way through and do a child life specialist. We have a phenomenal program that we started a few years ago, so that's definitely an option.
Awesome. Thank you, Evelyn, for asking that. We have one from Erin here about asking if any of the classes in forensic psychology are impacted. I can speak to this too. So none of our classes are impacted at APU, which is great. So you're able to really dive in. Again, I recommend looking on the website, reading those class descriptions, trying to figure out what classes you're interested in. And then you can totally dive into each of those. So that's a great thing to look forward to at APU. And then one from Jasmine about the BSW program. Can the BSW program be done as a part-time student, or is it a full-time program?
Yeah, so it is structured as a full-time program. You can transfer in. So we have a lot of transfer students that complete, kind of GE requirements and then transfer in as a junior student and essentially finish the degree junior, senior year. So that's an option for students that maybe want to be a part-time student and then transfer in for those last 2 years. Most of the classes are in daytime hours. We do have some like evening courses for electives, and some of our core classes, some of them are in the evening. So it does sort of require full-time status. We are sensitive to the fact that many of our students are working students. And so the way we structure our classes, so junior students, we try to structure it so that there's 2 to 3 days a week that all the junior classes fall on. Same thing for senior year, so that you do have an opportunity to maybe work part-time as a student in the program. But is it a traditional full-time program?
Awesome. Okay, Anna, we have one for you. How are you achieving your service credits? So you can speak to social work, you can speak outside of social work as well.
Yeah. So again, as Professor Chwati shared a little bit earlier, as a BSW student going through the program in a typical fashion, I haven't calculated it out, but it's not even really something that's on my radar that I am super worried about, because I think at this point, I have 50 credits, and which is almost halfway because you need 120, and that's not even counting what I'm doing this semester. So there's definitely quite a bit of opportunity, but also even if that was something that I was worried about, say you're not in social work or, in a program that has so much of that built into your classes, I definitely feel like there's not a shortage of those opportunities at APU. I've definitely been in quite a few classes that are like, oh, by the way, here's this extra service learning opportunity if you're available, or you'll just kind of see them pop up everywhere. So it's honestly really hard to miss if you're, if you're looking for it. But yeah, there are so many opportunities, but it also is kind of nice having that security of not even having to really think about it that much, because I'm getting to do so much of that in my classes.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Anna. Okay, well, we do have a few minutes left here, so thank you guys for all of your questions. We love being able to answer those for you. And we are going to ask this one final question. Before I go into that, I will go ahead and let you guys know that we do have an awesome APU Campus Experience. So Emily will put that link in the chat. And basically, it's a 3D way to look at APU and the campus. So we'd love for you guys to do that as you're thinking about social work, criminal justice, and psychology. Also, Anna wanted to highlight that she will be able to put her email in the chat if any students have questions about what it's like to be a student at APU, what it's like to be a BSW student. So super thankful for her and grateful for that opportunity for you guys as well. And then all of our faculty and representatives here will also put in the chat just their program information, maybe their email or their phone number. If you guys have questions of the department, that would be really helpful too. So you guys can look to that as well. And so before we go into that, I'm going to head into our final question just to wrap that up. So I would love for everyone, even Anna, to speak to, this is one of my favorite questions to ask, but what would be your best piece of advice for a student coming into either your program or APU? It can be a transfer or a freshman student.
I can start. So, the best piece of advice I would give is don't be afraid to try new things. Um, there are a lot of opportunities at APU, not just with classes, but with clubs and ways to get involved in service opportunities and different faculty and um, even different locations on campus. Like, try everything out. That's the best thing you can do for yourself. Is you might think you know exactly what you want to do until you try it, and then you can go a different path, or maybe it confirms for you that that's what you want to pursue. So try everything, talk about it with your friends, and be willing to get involved when you find something you like.
I would say building relationships, build relationships with your faculty, build relationships with your peers. They'll be your colleagues in the field. Your faculty will be great points of reference as you kind of think about that next leg of journey, whether that's work or grad school, or just to connect and know them professionally. So I've really relied a lot on those relationships as I've, navigated my career. And so that would be my suggestion. And not just know them just for professional purposes. I think APU has dynamic people that are attracted to the campus as students and faculty. So I think just getting to know people generally, but also for a professional purpose.
So when I think back to going into college, I remember trying on a new identity, because when you go through high school, and often you're with the same people since like junior high, you get pigeonholed into a particular group, social group, like, oh, you're an athlete, or you're a uh, I don't know what else. I was, I don't know, druggie. No, I don't know, whatever categories there are. So, but then you go to college, and college is so different. And I think it's a great place for you to explore who you are, really, right? I mean, you're out of the home, you're out of your high school peer group, and so I think it's a great time to take risks and to try on parts of yourself that you may not have had the freedom to explore. And I think you can do that in college, and do it safely in an environment that's very hospitable.
Yeah, and I mean, I think my advice really just echoes what a lot of you have said. But yeah, especially about that of just trying new things and not being afraid to jump into things that you're like, oh, am I gonna like this? Am I gonna be good at this? Just trying them. And with that, you recognize like there are certain things that are not your thing, and that's okay. And you don't have to feel like you have to commit, stay in that one thing for the rest of your time at APU just because you think that's what you're supposed to be doing. But just taking advantage of those opportunities, because I kind of applied to the board of club social work as almost like on a whim. I'm like, okay, I'll try this out, and then like a year later now I'm president of it. So you never know what you're gonna like, you never know what where you're going to find your community, because also those organizations and those opportunities are really like where I have found the closest community, and just kind of, my favorite people. So clubs, organizations, service opportunities, whatever you can try it out.
Yay. Well, thank you all so much for joining us. It was so fun to get to know you and your background, and hear about your classes again. It makes me want to go back to school. I love APU, and it makes me miss my class experience. It was so fun. And so we're going to end here. But again, thank you all so much for joining, taking part of your Monday night to be with us today. And again, feel free to reach out to these departments. They would love to connect with you, answer your questions if you have any follow-up ones, as well as Anna too, a current student. So thank you again so much for being here. And that's it. Bye, everyone.